Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the Infernal Citadel. This is mod 18 on preview in Neverwinter. Okay, so now that you've completed and defeated the first boss, we just have to kill 3 groups of mobs, each of them kind of guarding a brazier, which we have to ignite. Also be careful, these mobs now, these are the braziers here. You may recognize the stun effects from the Hell Pit event, or also the Eye effect, which you get also from in Master Spellplague Caverns, and then the Fear effect, which you get in Shult, and which you may have experienced within the Hell Pit itself. Basically makes you run away from the mob. Any regard, yeah, it's very annoying. We were discussing how the Elven battle could be meta within these trash mob areas with all their stun effects, since it does have a negation of 80% to stun effects durations. Very helpful. I generally run it on my tank, but mainly for the actual stamina regen. Alright, so we're just clearing out the mobs up until the citadel itself within these ruins. Just have to kill 3 groups. And now we're on to the citadel itself. Enter in, you have your campfire. And then you have groups of mobs. You can see they're under the minimap. It's asking you to clear out 5 areas of what it claims to be the workshop. So we just kited most of these mobs together and then just annihilate them. Luckily enough we had some very decent DPS within the group, so it wasn't too much of a bother for them to clear them out. Yeah, and always be careful of that eye effect. It can be very annoying, especially if you have a whole group of them and they stun you and then the mobs are just pounding on you. One thing that is definitely best in slot here for your weapon enchantment, definitely the lightning. I'm currently running it on my tank build. It helps to keep the aggro all on you, since it has a nice AoE kind of effect, hitting multiple mobs. Alright, so finally clearing out the workshop, we enter into more hallways. This area definitely reminds me of Castle Ravenloft. It may remind you of it as well. The massive halls you have to traverse through. But these are filled with demons instead of vampires and undead. And just kite them all the way to the next door, which we should have the second boss very close up. Just continually grouping them up. Beware of those horses from steamrolling you over, rather annoying as well. So yes, as I mentioned, lightning enchantment will definitely be best in slot up until the bosses on each area. Those heaps of mobs together. And this mob is kind of weird, does this encounter power and then just teleports back. We had to go back and deal with him. Anyway, we did so, and you come to these doors, you open them up, and then you come to these 2 guards just through here. Yep, and this is the door that leads to the next boss, the second boss in the Infernal Citadel. Alright, so just finish these off, set my encounter powers and powers, and we're into the second boss. Now, as you can already see, this boss has a lot of fire. It may remind you from the Aboleth within Castle Ravenloft. He has the same 4-pillar kind of situation, but this time he procs a ton of fire on the ground, all of which it's not as lethal as you might expect, but it will kill you very rapidly. And to prevent the whole floor becoming covered in fire, the tank, see that shot there, could stand within the fire and tank it. You need a very good healer. We did have one here, but I wasn't too keen on standing in the fire and tanking it. Alright, as you come to, I think 75%, 2 people will get chained to these weird imps, and you have to hide behind the pillars before he explodes, the boss does. This time none of us were hiding, but luckily we didn't get wiped. And you just keep fighting the boss until 50%. Continually, I keep moving him around so that the melee DPS can stand behind him, and myself don't have to tank him within the lava. Every time you get a small AoE like that, you want to put it within the fire circles that are already there to prevent the whole floor getting covered. And his big hammer attack is the one you want to be wary of. And there we go, the small AoE, just put it in within the lava already, or the fire. And once he hits that AoE there that he procced, yeah, it's pretty much a one shot for even for the tank. So that's kind of the reason why I don't recommend fighting within the fire, because it's very hard to see the actual red AoEs. There's my mistake. I didn't put the fire within the lava, or within the other fire. And then again, you saw just back there the red AoE at my feet. You have to just move. So this boss, basically it's a lot of just moving around and finding spots where there isn't fire. Can very annoying to do melee DPS, so I would recommend, to make things smoother within the dungeon, run with ranged DPS. And here we see the imps again, finish them off and then hide behind the pillar. This is again at 50% of his health, and then he explodes, and yeah, as long as you're behind a pillar you should be protected from that. And here we go again, just kiting him around, making sure that the melee DPS in our party can access him without standing in the lava. And we all have the small AoE, just put it in the fire itself. Ugh, I keep calling the fire lava, but in any regard, that's the AoE again. It's like a fire burst from Entome, except it does a lot more damage. That's his hammer smash. Every time he hammer smashes you like that, he puts fire on the ground. That's when it would be beneficial, you would stand it within the fire. Here's another misplaced fire AoE on my part. Fortunately they don't grow as big as the other ones, or the one from the hammer smash. And I recommend in this fight, just keep moving him around to spots where there's no fire, so you yourself don't have to stand within the fire, and the DPS can get behind him without standing in the fire. This was our second attempt on the boss himself. He's very annoying, but overall he's not too complex, as you've seen also with the first boss. Not too complex. If you haven't seen the first boss, there should be a link in the description of where you can hit that video and see how the first boss is. Alright, so again at 25% you get stunned and 2 imps will spawn. Grab 2 of us. It's up to the DPS to get you out. And then you go hide behind the pillar. And I believe he does this again at 5%. Yep. Fortunately the fire clears up when he does. Fortunately the fire clears up when he does that. When he phases. But the fire around the pillars seems to always remain there. There's nothing you can do about that. That's where you want to just put your little AoEs. Here again I accidentally stayed within the burst. I have no idea why that crit on me. I have definitely capped stats for this dungeon. You want 5k more than you would have within the tower. In any regard, I'm going to end the video just after we finish this boss here, and I hope you enjoyed, and I should have the third video up to the third boss and how we defeat him in the description. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and you can just watch to the end and see how we beat him. And we'll see you in the next one. Just continually move out of those red areas.